let's start off with psychiatry. Psychiatry is an MD, a medical doctor, or a DO, which is a doctor of osteopathy. MDs are the more traditional degree. The DOs are less traditional. There are fewer of the programs. And it was a lot longer before every state allowed DOs to prescribe medication. So there's something that happens, by the way, in all fields is there's kind of a turf war, and a turf war meaning that once you get an established profession, they want to hold on to that area and they don't want to give it up. And they'll often say, well, we're better trained than the next group. And you'll find that this is a common theme, and I'll mention it as we go through, because there's an order in terms of how people view these different professions. As a general rule, obviously, MDs are usually viewed most positively, and then you go down to PhDs and then master's level and those kinds of things. Within psychiatry, MD is usually perceived as the superior degree to DO. I don't think that that's the case at all. I don't think it's true, but often that's the perception of it. And you need to think about that, because I've had a lot of people be really concerned about how they're perceived when they finish their graduate program. Well, what are they going to call me? So I've had people say, I don't want to do a master's degree because I want to be called a doctor. Well, that's nice. People call me Dr. Calvert, and that's, it's nice to be called that, but you don't want to make the decision of where you want to go just because you like the title. But that plays a role. And that's why a lot of people will take an MD, because they view it as a higher status or a higher value than a DO. But I want to encourage you that if you decide to do psychiatry, consider either one of those programs as an avenue to get there and still be able to prescribe medications. Remember that today, psychiatrists are more likely to prescribe medications than anything else. There was a time when they would do a lot of therapy. Because of the way the medical field has gone and because of the way insurance has gone, that's not as common anymore. It's much more prescribed medications, diagnosed, prescribed medications. So that will be a lot of what you would do in psychiatry in most cases, because that's what the people are going to be paying you for. They're not going to pay really high rates for therapy when they can get people who are just as successful in therapy, which include psychologists and social workers and counselors, who do just as good a job in therapy. They're not going to pay an MD or a DO to spend their hour doing that when they can actually do 5 or 10-minute med checks. That means they're medicine checks and moving people through. That's just how things are. And a lot of things are driven by the economy and where the money is coming from. So I say that here at this point, but that's going to be true for all of the other fields as well. I just want you to be aware of that and thinking about it when you're applying. So basically, when you go to med school, you're going to do 4 years of medical school. It's going to be followed by residency. Now, in psychiatry, it's 4 years of 4 years of residency, 3 of which are in psychiatry. After that, you can then get licensed, and again, you take exams for that. You can get licensed after you finish your residency, and then in the medical field, they have board certification. So you can be board certified in internal medicine, board certified in OBGYN, board certified in a lot of areas, one of which is psychiatry. And that's typically what is happening. They can practice without board certification, but it's really viewed as vitally important in order to be established as a specialty in that particular area. Now, we're not going to spend a lot more time on psychiatry, because I'm going to spend a lot more time on the other areas, which are usually of a lot of interest to people in terms of differentiating them and are more of my area of specialty area. I have indeed provided supervision to people who were in residency for psychiatry before, but I've not been on the admissions committee, but I have been on admissions for other programs, and I've been a faculty for other programs. So that's where we are with psychiatry.